Welcome to our devotional study today. I invite you to take your Bibles, Revelation chapter 17. We're in the middle of the first 6 verses that describe for us the Babylonian harlot. And we will read those verses once again, Revelation 17, 1 through 6. Do a quick, brief recap. If you've not yet listened to the previous day's devotional of the first part of Revelation 17, I encourage you to do so before you listen to this one. Revelation 17. And verse 1, it says, And there came one of the 7 angels, which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, the abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. So as we come into these verses, we've been describing the Babylonian harlot, and we saw the scope of this system in verse 1, where it is described as sitting upon many waters. And what we see here is a one-world religion that is brought together. And we've been looking at this over our previous day's study. And this should not surprise us, because there is a great push on, even right now, in the direction of trying to bring many of the religions of the world together. And there's an ecumenical movement that is working in our day that is seeking to bring all the religions of the world together. And as we come into this, we saw, we saw also in verse 2 the seduction of this system, because according to this verse, the entire world will come under the spell of this great end-time religion. Kings and world rulers will be a part of this movement. The whole world will be intoxicated by the teaching of this false system of belief. And then we saw the supporters of this system in verse 3. We saw that the harlot is supported by the Antichrist. Of course, the Antichrist is the beast that is described here, and he carries this world religious system to great power in the world. And we saw yesterday how that people will be deceived, and that when he sets himself up and demands worship, that they will worship him. Now in verse 4, we see the success of the system. It says, And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. This religion wears the colors of purple and scarlet. These are the colors of royalty and nobility. She is decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. This speaks of her wealth and prosperity. This system will be wealthy beyond words. Now, this is true of many great religious systems of our day. There is big money in religion. Some people grow very wealthy at the expense of others. And the Bible tells us that this system is well connected and prosperous, but yet that it is all a pretense. This harlot holds in her hands a golden cup full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication, as it says in verse 4. And so that means while this religion appears healthy and good and prosperous on the outside, it is really filled with corruption. It is an abomination to God. Friends, there is a danger of, as any church or denomination grows, that it will thrive on its prosperity and forget its allegiance to the Lord. I'm not even talking about the ones that have always been apostate or that are increasingly moving toward apostasy. I'm talking about any church that there's a danger that if it becomes prosperous, that it will forget its allegiance to the Lord. There is a subtle seduction in money and power that can easily lead a system off the course of holiness and godliness. And of course, that's exactly what God requires of us, is holiness and godliness. Many movements that begin well have gone away from God, having been seduced by power and popularity and prosperity. there is a tendency to change so that the trends may continue. But then we see the spirit of this system in verse 5. It says, and upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon. Now keep in mind that word mystery simply means a new truth, one that was previously not given to us in the New Testament. Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. In ancient times, it was common for prostitutes to wear identification so that the prospective customers could recognize them. This system is identified by God as the mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth. Friends, when we speak of Babylon, many people immediately think of a city, and it is a city located in the country of Iraq. Babylon, the city, was once the grandest capital of the most powerful nation in the world. Today, it is abandoned by everyone, by archaeologists and historians. But Babylon is more than a city. Babylon is also a system. Babylon is described as the system from which every false religious system in the world originated. This is what the title mother implies here. And when he says mother of harlots, he is talking about the Roman Catholic Church. Now, this Babylonian system, if you want some history, first appears in Genesis chapter 11, verses 1 through 9. The city was called Babel then and was founded by a very wicked man named Nimrod. The people of Babel decided to build themselves a tower so that they could leave their mark on the world. You can read about it in Genesis chapter 11, verses 1 through 9. The flood was still fresh in their minds, and they wanted to leave their mark on the world. This tower was not designed to reach into heaven as some think. It was designed as a temple of heaven. The constellations were placed on top of this tower, and men climbed it to worship the heavenly bodies. You can read about it in Genesis 11:4. And this tower and the religion that it represented is the first of many false religions that have been started by man. They were the first false religionists, but they would not be the last. However, what you will see as you follow this through history is the same seeds of humanism and pride that are found in their attempt at forming their own religion can be found in every religion that has ever been founded by man. And God judges these people here for their rebellion and for their foolish worship. And just as he judged them then, he will also one day judge all the false religions of the world. And that is exactly what we are seeing as we come into Revelation chapter 17. This chapter clearly reveals what will happen to the false religions of the world at the end of the tribulation period. Notice in verse 6 the slaughter of this system. It says, and I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with a great admiration. This system of belief is responsible for the deaths of every saint of God who has ever died at the hands of false religion. From the death of Abel to the prophets, to the early Christians, to the martyrs of the Inquisition, all the way to the millions of martyrs in the tribulation period, every single death can be laid at the feet of this Babylonian harlot. She is responsible for the deaths of God's children, and what we are going to see here is that she will be judged for her bloodthirsty ways. Friends, my encouragement to you today as we come to the end of this section is this. If you're involved in a false religion that leaves people void of a relationship with Jesus Christ, or leaves Jesus Christ as being anything less than he is, that is the Son of God, God manifest in the flesh, come into this world to take away the sin of man, that you would get away from religion and that you would move to a relationship with Jesus Christ, that you would realize that religion is man's attempt to get to God, and man cannot get to God on his own. That's why the Bible does not teach religion, it teaches salvation, and in salvation God came to man in the person of Jesus Christ. He knew we could not get to where he was, so he came to where we were. He lived a sinless life. He was crucified upon a cross, not for his own sin, but for the sin of the world. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. Have you trusted him and him alone for your soul's salvation. Have a great day.